Hi guys, this is Lashette from Scarlet Moon Creations, and I am back with a new video. This is my mid-November recent reads, where I talk about the first half of the books I read in the month of November. I'm also going to give you some stats from September and October because we missed those. Okay, before I go on, first up, a small warning. It is now wintertime, and I live in an apartment in New York City, and you know, the heat is on. It's not currently making noise, but that does not mean it won't. I will do my best to edit out any random noises, but the clankety clankety, it happens. The other thing I want to talk about is the war on and genocide of Palestinians. This is not going away. At the time of my filming, there is a multi-day ceasefire, but that is not all we want. I'm not going to go into deep political discourse here, but I want to help and provide resources to others who may not have them. So linked in the description down below are some resources, books, websites, social media accounts that you can follow to learn more about what has been happening to the Palestinian people, and you can come to your own decision and conclusions from those, and maybe find some more. There are also links for ways you can donate to help the people. I don't know if you realize, quite often, at least in this latest chapter in the war between, I guess, Hamas and Israel, but also just the general denigration of the Palestinian people. Quite often the power, electricity, water, and healthcare systems are completely shut down, and getting humanitarian aid in is very difficult. The ceasefire is only temporary and not the end goal. So if you want to find ways to send money, food, water, that kind of thing, I'll also include links to those as well, and some links to protests and things you can say to your senators and or representatives, for those of us here in the United States in particular, to make this a permanent ceasefire, to let the Palestinian people have their land, and the colonists to leave them alone. So I will also, and as you know, the world we live in being what it is, include links for finding out information about the people in Congo, the Republic of Congo, who are also going through very difficult times, and understatement of words there. There is a lot of the technology that we use is built with materials that are mined from Congo, and children, as young as toddlers, are basically being enslaved, not given enough food and water, and not having proper clothing and shelter, and that's, you know, the adults as well. Links to finding out more information, where you can donate, how you can send support, and ways you can maybe scale back in buying new technology, because it's our consumerism that supports this these tragedies. So you can find all of that in the description and down below. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments, or you can send me a message. On to the books. It's very difficult to switch topics for that, but it is what it is. It's a minor first world American privilege difficulty in that. But that being said, it's been a while since I've had a recent reading wrap up, and quite honestly, I just did not want to edit. I filmed my September wrap up for the month with the stats, but never edited it. And after so much time has passed, I just gave myself the grace, the permission to delete those clips and move on. So for the first time since I started doing wrap-ups videos, we're skipping some time here. But I do want to give you stats. The October mid-month and end-of-month wrap-up I just didn't do. I didn't film at all. So I will give you those stats as well. Now, my stats come from, as I have all year, just as a reminder since it's been a while, Storygraph. And I do believe they have a new thing. Relatively new anyway, but I started using it, which is the Streak. Like, I know Amazon has it for Kindle, and now Storygraph has it. Anyway, for the month of September, I read a total of 15 books. Now, I was participating in 2 readathons, I believe. So that helped. Also, one of those readathons was maybe it was 3 readathons. Graphics-a-thon, the 30 and 30, that's what it was, and which was read 30 manga in 30 days, and then whatever else. My total pages read were 4,389 pages, and I listened to 5.58 hours. Look at me, who is she? The biggest mood I had was adventurous, followed by mysterious. I had read mostly medium-paced books, 64% were that, and then, so 9 of them, and then 29% or 4 were slow, and we went from there. For my page number, the majority of the books I read were less than 300 pages, 9 of them, and that tracks with reading. Two readathons that had me reading manga and or comic books. The audiobook that I read was over 8 minutes. I think that's 8 minutes. Mostly fiction, which doesn't surprise anybody, but I did get 2 nonfiction in there. Okay. Most of these, I'm very proud, I read were print in format. That's 60%, and 33% or 5 were digital. So, and 1 audiobook, 7%. Last but not least, my star ratings for September. My average rating was 3.73. I read 1 4.5 star book, 8 4-star books, 4 3.5 star books, 1 3-star book, and 1 2.5 star book. That was that. Now my October stats. In October, I was participating in 3 readathons. Yes, which was completely unplanned. But instead of having Bookopoly in September, as usual, it happened in October, and it was called Spookopoly. There was also a Black Aweenathon and the vampire edition of For the Culture Readathon, which is also to read Black authors as well. And unsurprisingly, I read 6 books. I just, you know, having back-to-back months with readathons kind of... If I read a lot in one month, the next month I'm usually like unconsciously taking a little bit of a break. But total pages read was 1,670 and hours listened 11.37. My biggest mood was still adventurous, but tense and emotional were the second runners up. The pacing of the books, for the most part, was medium, with 4 of my books fitting that category, or 67%. The amount of pages I read was pretty equal, with less than 300 pages, and while reading less than 300 pages and 300 to 400 pages, both an equal amount that month, with only one 500-page book, 1 tome. And my audiobook length, oh, it's not minutes, it's hours. Okay, the other one was less than 8 hours. The one I listened to this month was between 8 and 16 hours. And everything I read in the month of October was fiction, particularly heavy on the fantasy. Formats, 5 of the books were print and 1 was an audiobook. And one of my books doesn't have a format, but that's okay. 9.9 hours, okay. And last but not least, my star ratings. Average rating was 3.83, 1 4.5 star book, 2 4-star books, and 3 3.5-star books. Okay, so let us talk about the books I read in the month of November so far. Been a crazy time, and I actually read more this month than I thought, which is not bad. Not what I planned. I planned to finish up all these nonfiction books that I have been reading, but that is, you know, why I don't do TBRs. Yeah, so nonfiction November not going the way I planned, but I am making inroads finally, so I hope to finish those by the end of December this year. Okay, so the first book I finished was The Golden Fool, Book 2 in the Tawny Man trilogy by Robin Hobb. This is the 3rd trilogy in her Realm of the Elderlings series. Yes, I'm back to it. I read book 1 in October. I saw that Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany was looking for some people who might be interested in doing a read-along and joining in live shows. Now, 2 years ago, probably, right? Becca, my favorite booktuber from Back in the Books, had a book club, catch-up book club, and Realm of the Elderlings was the series they were reading for the last 2 years. I joined in the beginning. I loved the first trilogy, the first Fitz trilogy, the second trilogy with the live ship traders. I was also reading other things, and I realized some stuff that wasn't working out for me. So I DNF'd the 3rd book in that trilogy after I couldn't take it anymore. And I did not pick up the Tawny Men trilogy when they were doing it, because I was just like, I think, burnt out and not feeling it. I thought maybe I wouldn't like it anymore, or maybe I couldn't because I didn't finish the live ship traders. However, I've watched live shows, both Bethany's, with the other people she was doing the live ship traders trilogy with, and the Catch Up Book Club live shows, and I read some stuff online. So I know enough, and time has passed, and I said I'll give it a shot. If I can get the book from the library and do it, I'll be good to go. It turned out great, and we had a great live show, so I was like, yes, we are back in this. I still love Fitz, I still love the Fool, and the writing, the story is still compelling and heart-wrenching, and I'm ready to go. So the book for October was The Golden Fool. Our live show didn't happen until like the second-ish week of November, so unfortunately, I gave The Golden Fool 3.5 stars. This was not bad. This was my tome, over 500 pages, obviously. It really slogged the first 200 pages. I took well over a week to get through that, and then the last 3 days up to the live show, I sped through the other 500 pages. I read 400 pages in that last day, which is crazy. But that aside, yeah, the beginning was just so catching up with everyone type thing. There wasn't a lot of action in this one, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but for fantasy, I enjoy action, but I don't necessarily need it. However, with this series, I come to expect it, but maybe I'm still adjusting to the fact that Fitz is not an assassin in this. That's not his main focus here. So that's not his role in this trilogy. That's not his role in the Six Duchies right now. So it's different. And I still liked everybody. I just feel this was like middle book syndrome, and yeah. I also did not appreciate how we left things between Fitz and the Fool, and I just want to smack him upside the head. I still liked it, I just did not enjoy it as much as the others. After I finished that, I hemmed and I hawed, and even before I finished that, just trying to figure out, you know, what to read and what I should read, and stressing myself out for damn near half the month. I picked up a romance that I've been wanting to read for years, and I was like, you know what, girl, just read it, okay? And that was Zenny, Loose Ends #2 by Rebecca Weatherspoon. So Zenny is a book I've been wanting to read ever since I read Rafe, which is the book 1 in the Loose Ends series, if you will. So Rebecca Weatherspoon has these trilogies or so of other romance books, and then she had these characters that she wanted to give that happy ever after or happy for now, a romance book of their own. And so they're kind of like loose ends. So I read Rafe, the Buff Male Nanny, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm totally ready to read it again, to be perfectly honest. But then I was like, wait a minute, I can't read Zenny yet because I need to read these other series. I didn't realize that's what Rafe was, a loose end in that sense back then. So there was some confusion. There's a bunch of characters that were friends of our female love interest who I had no clue who these people were. I was just like, huh. And come to find out, they were all main characters in their own books already. So I went back and I read the other series, and then I was trying to figure out for the longest time if I needed to read get another trilogy from Rebecca Weatherspoon, but I figured it out. And you know what? I really needed some romance in my life. I also, Zenny was supposed to be one of the picks, the last role for Spookapalathon and for the Culture Readathon and for Black Aweenathon. Sorry, my brain is moving slow today. And I just didn't get to it in time with the other book I read and wound up DNFing in October. So I was like, stop it. You want to read this. You've now wasted half the month. Read the damn romance book. Make yourself feel better. And I did. I enjoyed this a lot. I'm giving it 4 stars. I didn't give it a rating. I just noticed it. It wasn't what I was expecting. So we have Zenny, who is a Black woman teacher who her famous aunt passed away, and while they had a funeral with all of her aunt's sisters and everything, including Zenny's mom, and their extended family in California, the aunt, I guess in her will or whatever, wants to be buried in her home in New York State and have her will read there. And the only person she wants from her family to come is Zenny. So Zenny goes, and they have a very small, simple ceremony. She meets some of her aunt's friends. And then she goes to the will reading and finds out that everything has been left to her, but there's a caveat, not 100% of everything. Everything except for like $100,000 has been left to her, including this big old mansion and other stuff. Nothing to the rest of the family. $100,000 will go to this big burly Scottishman who is a friend of her aunt's, and they will only get their inheritance if they marry each other and stay married for 30 days. So it's not only one bed, but it is like that forced proximity kind of thing. I, as always, thoroughly enjoy the characters of the relationship and the secondary and tertiary characters. I think Rebecca Weatherspoon does a very good job in making everyone real people, and making the relationships, the chemistry, very believable. I was here for it. I was not, unfortunately, 100% in the mood for the sexy times, but that's me. You might not know this, but yeah, I'm not. If I'm not in the mood, I'm not in the mood. I will skim through it though, because other things happen during those scenes that I do appreciate, even when I'm not in the mood for reading about sex. However, it is still well written. I will say, I think I felt with this one a little bit like the third wheel with their relationship. Some of the humor that they had going between them, I felt was not funny. I'm not asking you, I'm just like, how do I put this? Like, it went over my head to an extent, and I was like, well, I guess. Again, like, I'm an outsider looking in, which is what every romance reader is. I'm not living this life, but I don't often feel that when I'm reading a romance. So it was a little awkward, like, okay, well, I guess if y'all enjoy that. They're both bisexual. The reason I picked Zenny also for certain prompts were Spookapalathon and Black Aweenathon is because Zenny was supposed to be a practicing witch. There was none of that to be seen it was referenced twice. So once again, a pet peeve of mine. What was the point? I know that not every, like in the real world, people don't, you know, have their religion always front and center and the main focus of their lives, so it doesn't show up everywhere. But this, for a book, was kind of pointless. It felt like checking a box with representation, and I was like, this was worse than that second Brown Sister book in that aspect. However, beyond that, I thoroughly enjoyed this book. Like I said, the chemistry was great. I liked how their relationship evolved and how they figured out how they were going to do things. The situation with his dad and why he needed the $100,000 and all of that shit was, wow, the drama. The stuff on her side of the family was a bit confusing. I could have used some more details with that, and more about how that was, I guess, resolved. But I can't say anything else without giving you spoilers. So it is what it is. And I finally read it. I'm very happy. Very happy. The next book I want to talk to you about is Eve, Items 1 through 5 by Victor Laval. This is also illustrated by Jo Mi-kyung. I think this was the September pick, or one of the 2 September picks for the Realm of Comics book club. We're behind on live shows for them, but I'm still reading the monthly picks, even if I'm behind on reading them because I read it this month, November. But yeah, the other pick for that month I read in October, so we just won't get me talking about it. But I've read 2 Victor Laval books now and enjoyed both, and I was interested in this. I didn't know what to expect going in. The book cover looks like a juvenile adventure, and kind of cute. Lo and behold, this is not that. It's a dystopian sci-fi story where we're following a young girl who wakes up in the future, not realizing it that it is, but now she's woken up on basically a dying planet. It seems like she's one of the few human beings left. She's got this like android, that AI intelligence thing that looks like her childhood teddy bear, and it's like her guide and protector, trying to help her get to basically the other side of the country, to complete some quest that her parents essentially have left her. It's pretty quick. We find out things as the story goes along. So in the beginning, when she's not outside and she doesn't realize, so you, the reader, don't realize, like, it is the future. It is a dystopian world. And there are some surprises along the way. Some about the teddy bear, some about her parents, some about herself and the world. I guess we could say there was a happy ending, though. I love the art style of this, and I just feel like it wasn't quite enough for me, so I gave it 3 stars. But I'm thinking maybe I lowballed that. I don't know. This could be a little sensitive for a middle grade reader. There is some violence and death happening here, and I'm not an expert on, you know, children's understanding of sci-fi tropes and things like that, so there might be some stuff that might go over their head. I don't know. The last book I'm going to talk to you about in this video, I actually have a physical copy of. Everything else I've read this month is ebook and audio, but Wolf Rain by Nalini Singh, continuing in reading what I want and having a good time. I finally picked this up. I have had this since March. I have kept renewing it and renewing it and renewing it and renewing it and renewing it. I love this series. This is part of the Psy Changeling series book. I don't know, in the Psy Changeling series. Book 3 in the Psy Changeling Trinity series. So 18 in the Psy Changeling series, book 3 in the Psy Changeling Trinity, by Nalini Singh. And in this series, we're in a futuristic world where there are basically 3 types of people. There are human beings, regular, like you and me, and there are changelings, who are in other series would be called like were animals and that kind of thing. There's people who can change into animals, and they live in packs or groups, usually, but not always. It really depends on their animal, and how that animal would typically live in the wild, and there are generally considered stronger than the average human being. They also have, they're more in touch with their animal instincts, and tend to have very strong emotional bonds. Last but not least, what is, I feel, unique to this series are the Psy, and these are people who have psychic abilities of some way, shape, or form. Their strengths lie in the mental spheres. So telekinetics are just one example of that. There are all different types of designations, and the beginning of this series is, like I said, we started out, we're in the future of the world, and these 3 races of human being basically have a very tentative, kind of violent relationship with each other. Part of that is because the Psy silence protocol 100 years ago, like the 1970s or 1980s, the Psy had noticed they have a lot of violent criminals in their race, so like psychopaths and serial killers, and they decide to come up with the silence protocol, which is to remove all emotions from their person. And the silence has been going on for 100 years, and we're starting to look back to see how has that benefited them or not, and the other races as well. In the first book in this Psy Changeling series, Slave to Sensation, we're following a Psy woman who decides she needs to break the silence protocol because otherwise she will be killed for doing something illegal or inappropriate, or just not following it. But that's not something she can control. And to escape, she makes like a bargain to work for a changeling pack, a leopard pack in California. And lo and behold, the alpha, the leader of the leopards, and her fall in love together, and the series goes on from there. Like I said, this is like 18 books into this world. We're actually, after several books, back in California, with the leopard's neighbors, the snow dancer wolves. And I like the way this started. It was unique to the other series. We're following our male love interest, Alexei, who is feeling some type of way because it's the anniversary of the death of his brother, who had a very tragic death. In to put it in very mild, understated terms. And while he's out and about doing his rounds or whatever, he feels this strong grief that's not his own. Come to find out, there is a woman buried in a bunker under the mountain that none of the wolves knew was in their territory, and they didn't realize that she was there. Turns out she is a Psy who has been in captivity for quite some time. And, you know, they kind of click from the beginning. Not that they fall in love, but they kind of have a little bit of an adversarial relationship in the beginning. But, you know, there is some trust. And for the rest of the book, we're trying to figure out who put her in there and why, and try to catch that person. And the thing is, she's different. She is a Psy, and it turns out she's an E-Psy, but not like the others. So her trying to figure out her purpose, she thinks of herself as a monster because the person who had her in captivity told her she was, and they've had her in captivity since she was a child, and they've been using her. And then on the other hand, there's another Psy out there attacking arrows who are kind of like the military of the Psy, and also attempting to get rid of other E-Psys, but they don't realize that they're, you know, basically committing mass murder over and over, all over the world. So everybody's trying to figure that out as well. This was a refreshing break from the council issues from the previous two books. Like, the rest of the world goes on, other things are happening, da-da-da-da. There was a lot of trying to understand and explain female main characters' memories. That's her name, Memory. Her abilities, and try to fit it into the world, the Psy abilities and all of that stuff as we've known it so far for 17 books. So this was a little refreshing in that sense. As far as the romance, not too different from a lot of several of the other Psy changeling connections that have happened in other books. So I enjoyed it. It didn't go quite as fast as previous books, but it was good. 3.5 stars is what I rated it, and I'm happy to send this off. I don't have it anymore. So yeah, those are the books. Let me know what you've been reading this month. I will give you a November wrap-up with stats and the last of the books that I finished this month. Wish me luck. I'm filming this the day before. I'm filming this on the 29th of November. So I know there's one book I can and will finish. I don't know about anything else beyond that. Maybe I'll read a comic. We shall see. Guys, like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you are new. Hit the notification bell so you know when the next video is coming. And links in the description, like I mentioned earlier, for information and ways to support the Palestinians, and information and ways to support the people of Congo in the description down below. Let me know if you have any questions about any of those links and if there's any problems. That is it for me today, guys. Thank you, as always, so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.